I do believe we are live. So I'll say indeed, and greetings unto you, beloved and holy friend. Thank you so much for joining me again on another day, another opportunity to gain some more perspective, to reflect on the perspectives that we have gained, to gain perspective on our perspective, so that our perspective can be more perspected. Apparently, to perspect is actually a word, a verb. Hey, quiet lurk. Thank you, Natalie. It's nice to have you here as well, Shan and Nancy and Louisanne. Hey, you two wonderful peeps. Thank you for sending love to both of them as well. Joe Schmo is here as well. I'm not sure if I'm 100% prepared for it to be Monday already. Yeah, I also had kind of a feeling like that. Today was one of those calm, yet I wanted to stay calm kind of days. Adam has gone on his adventure. We got his sump fixed, and he should be around Louis Trichardt at this point. He's going to stay there tonight, and then he's going to drive the rest of the way through tomorrow. I feel like I have so much to process still. So much to process. But I feel like I've gotten past the point where I'm in that state of overwhelm, and I've reached the point where I'm now just supposed to notice the perspective that I've gained. Because there are some perspectives. There are some perspectives. Oh goodness. The perspective of discomfort, the perspective of power, the perspective of responsibility, the perspective of balance, the perspective of human connection, the perspective of what it means to be calm and at peace, the perspective of contentedness, the perspective of strength. It's crazy how less than 2 weeks can so radically re-echo all of the things that we already know. You know, like it's a weird thing, perspective. Like my dad has a certain perspective, right? And every time he uses the simulacrum, this world, to try and gain more information from it, every perspective that confirms his bias is going to be a worthy, a valuable perspective for him to have. And the thing I'd like to encourage all of us is realize that instead of being biased towards one type of perspective or another, become biased towards perspective in and of itself. That gaining perspective is valuable, period. What kind of perspective you gain might change the way you feel about what you're perceiving. But having that perspective is going to be valuable regardless. Hey, Joy Vivas here too, sending you lovin's. Bom dia, new arrivals. I don't know what bom dia means, but it sounds sick. It's nice having you as well. Shell, sending you love. Shan, again, love to you. I'm all right, Louisanna. A little tired, a little bummed. The warm weather has gone, but I know it'll be back. Oh, yes, in full swing. Apparently, there's weather so cold in SA right now that it might snow in some parts of it. It's kind of wild. Another snowstorm coming tomorrow for you friends as well. It was so good to meet Adam. I understand the post-festival syndrome too, though. It can be a little rough at times. I'm not feeling that post-festival syndrome, right? Fortunately, I don't do taxing drugs, if that's any way to say it. Like all of the stuff I do psychedelics mostly. And psychedelics, fortunately, don't leave you feeling like you are left with less. So I don't have that. I don't have that kind of experience, but I have this experience of significance. I think that's the thing. You know, the amount of significance that I felt from this last, period of time spent together with friends, and how now, as I keep continuing into the future, this perspective I'm having right now, I realize is valuable as well, but it makes it almost difficult to access the significance of those moments that had passed. So I'm gonna write them down. I think that's the best I can do for now, and then come back to them to feel the significance instead of tripping myself out about the perspective I'm supposed to be having, right? That we've had perspectives, we gained perspective, and now we'll continue to. Let's read something worth saying, shall we? Assume responsibility for learning how, in all situations, to be only the presence of love. How about that for a thing worth saying? Assume responsibility for learning how, in all situations, to be only the presence of love. Damn, that's an intense one, but it feels good to say it. Hey, Duck Dad, sending you love. Joe Schmo, again, lovins to you. Saying the term, if it doesn't apply, then let it fly. A good way to not learn anything new. Yeah, I agree. Just because something doesn't apply to you doesn't mean it's not valuable information, right? Again, that perspective of someone giving me his wisdom about the way he lives his life. And even though I wasn't going to apply a single smidget of the wisdom he was trying to share with me, he was sharing the wisdom of sexual exploration and promiscuity as a way of living that brings, what's the word he used? Invigoration. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. Not for me. I appreciate your perspective. I've gained your perspective, but it doesn't have to mean I have to apply it to my perspective. Meltmore is continued festival feelings. Exactly, Natalie. Like that's the joke for me, is that I feel like I'm living a festival. Like you friends have empowered me to do what it is I do at festivals, right? Without having to be at a festival, these human connections, being able to sit down, we just danced. The work life, the raising kids life, the cooking, the cleaning, the making the bed, the building a business, etc., etc., etc. All of that can be seen as dancing. You know, all of us are grafting, moving through this experience. And then sometimes we have to sit down, take a breather. And then when we sit down and take those breathers, we're here. And then we have conversations, you know, as we do. All of our perspectives melt together so we can have this one right now, ultimately. Are you enjoying spring in the Midwest, Doug? I hope so. Doug, I was sore AF yesterday from rain dancing. Did you fill up your barrels? I do hope so. I don't use substances either, but I do get a weird sense of loss after a good festival or a multi-day event. Yes, journaling is a good way through it. I think so. I don't feel like I had a sense of loss, fortunately, though, Azana. More so, like, I gained so much. I have Eva saying hi. I gained so much that I'm scared I can't keep all of it. Right? I think that's the joke that I'm trying to understand right now. It's like, hey Luke, it's nice having you, friend. That there's so much perspective that we'll gain through this life, but only so much of the perspective will be kept, at least in the forefront of our minds, right? Felt like my head was being squeezed last night. These temperature shifts are quite something. Evolving, Shan. You're learning how to deal with the extremity of climate change. Shell, I didn't want you to break yourself, but I very much appreciate. Only one barrel full, but rain, maybe tomorrow, so we'll be okay. Good. Sam, exactly. Love is true. Made me stronger. Yeah, I'm sorry from life, but today I'll be sort of chill. Hey, Maxine is here as well. I've been seeing so many owls and bats, and we saw a snake skin today, and saw rabbits and what other animals have I seen recently? Yeah, those are the essential ones. Burbs, of course. So many burbs. And sending you love. How are you doing? It is the 18th. Tomorrow is surgery day, right? Yeah. going to go in, going to close your eyes, and going to come back to this life having been taken care of by people that care about you. People care about you. Our bats have come out too. Saw a giant one the other night eating all the mosquitoes. Yes, gang, gang. Gang, gang. Keep eating the mosquitoes, little bats. Like, I don't know if you know, Maxine, but I went to a music festival last weekend, and it was called White Rabbit, the festival's name. The stage had two eagles, no, two owls, a snake, a bat face, and then butterfly wings as the centerpiece. And then on the sides, there were two dragons. As I went to go and fetch Adam from the road, I saw a beautiful white owl, big white owl. And then when we got there at the festival grounds, we were watching the moon rise. We saw a brown owl, big brown owl, and it like circled us twice, getting to see two owls that were on the stage, you know, those two owls. Then we got to see a snake. Well, we got to see the snake skin. It like shed the skin. We got to pick up pieces of the skin. Got to see a bat, you know, during that festival as well. Fortunately, unfortunately, no dragons just yet. Maybe we were the dragons. Maybe we were the dragons. Got to see so many spirit animals as of late. And then on our way back yesterday, as we were driving from Pretoria back home, we saw a rabbit cross the road as well. Almost feeling like it was aptly closing off this whole experience we've had. Also been seeing so many butterflies, especially at the lavender plants. The spirit animals are still speaking. Maxine, you are loved and you are seen. Having Tiger, the best sleep feeling ever is waking up from an operation. You got this, so do. Natalie, I think last time you were in my stream, I didn't realize you were the same one. Am I wrong? I'm sorry for not realizing, friend. It's okay. Thank you, Shell, for being so loving. Been praying for you, Beansy. Thank you, Joy Vive. Been thinking about you lots, Maxine. So much love is being sent. We have another little spirit animal being like, yeah, Ever. Yeah, Ever Kish. Love is true. Maxine, my sister-in-law, has been slow back with the info we talked about. She started a new job. I haven't forgotten about you. Thank you, doctor, for the love. Maxine, I didn't know about surgery, but sending you the healing mantra. Thank you. I had a dream a few nights ago that a great horned owl flew to me and landed on my hand. Then I stepped away from my hand and was full of coins. I also found a pile of hawk feathers yesterday. Hawk feathers are auspicious. There we go. I also, during the Sangha yesterday, saw a small little owl make 3 little swoops in front of my field of vision as well. Hey Google, what does it mean when I find hawk feathers? Hawk feather in your path can be a powerful and significant spiritual experience. In many spiritual and cultural traditions, finding feathers on the ground is seen as a message from the spirit world and is associated with qualities such as strength, courage, and vision. There you go, Maxine. The universe is in support of you, taking care of all of us, ultimately. Perspective. I haven't really dove into what this perspective thing means to me, right? I've shared that we've gained some perspective. I've shared that we've gone through so much when it comes to our perspectives, but I haven't really gone into this idea, this understanding that your perspective is necessary. All of your perspectives are necessary, even the uncomfortable ones, right? Even the fearful ones, even the ones that make you feel kind of stressed, even the ones that make you feel unsure, uncertain, that all of us ultimately are here to gain perspective. that you as consciousness are lovingly peering into this universe so that you can gain perspective. And no matter where you peer from, no matter what the circumstances of your vision is, it is a worthy perspective to have because it is a part of the whole. And in today's, thing we're saying, so apt, so beautifully said, it just goes straight into assume responsibility for learning how in all situations, in all perspectives, all the perspectives you can have, assume responsibility for learning how to be in all of those perspectives only the presence of love. That's a tall feat. That's a big one, right? And yet it's almost like you can teach yourself how to be in that perspective. That if you can keep reminding yourself that love is true. Oh, I feel kind of bad today. But love is true, right? Otherwise I wouldn't be feeling anything at all. Oh man, someone said something that hurt me. But I wouldn't care if I didn't love them or love myself. So love is true. Oh man, I'm kind of hungry. Wouldn't be hungry. Wouldn't care about being hungry if I didn't love myself and want to feed myself so I can continue living. Perspective, right? Love is true to me is a perspective that I try to live from. And when I do, it allows me a little bit more loving presence, the presence of love. You friends have shown me through your perspectives the truth in that sentiment as well, right? The fact that we have a friend somewhere in the world. Sure, I know Maxine lives in North Dakota, but North Dakota is a freaking big place, yo. So we have a friend living in North Dakota going through something scary, right? Having an operation, even if it's something small, is pretty scary. Someone has to cut you open and you have to kind of suspend your disbeliefs and trust that this person wants to help you. And yet, we as friends can be mindful of this person in the world with us. We can be loving. We can be considerate. We can care. There's something burning somewhere. You can probably see there's like some haziness in the mountains. And I'm seeing like pieces of ash falling on me right now. Perspective, I guess. You see, like I'm tripping myself out because I was just talking about how in every circumstance, in every situation, I should be the presence of love. And now I'm seeing these pieces of ash falling on me. You can actually see some of the blackness. And I'm like, bruh, who's burning things down again? How am I supposed to be loving presence when I can smell smoke everywhere? And I think about the whole experience of the farm burning down again. Love is true. I wouldn't care if love wasn't true. I'd be like, eh. You're gonna make me cry. Don't cry. I mean, maybe if it's happy tears, maybe if they're healing. Sure. I found one of Quacky Jackie's feather on the ground yesterday. She was attacked in the fall. I tucked into my hat. Still a little bit of her with you. Need to get ready for the work, see, so I'll be lurking on and off. We love you, Nancy. Have a good time preparing. Melt, talking perspective while I sit here teaching my niece that males can be feminine. Oh, yes. I do consider myself a feminine male, right? I wear my scarfsies. I wear my little patterned shirts. I wear jewelry. I have rings on my fingers. My pants are nice and florally, big brimmed, florally pieces of pants. Yeah. I like the nice things. I light candles, and I pick lavender for myself. Mhm. Take care of my skin. I'm trying to like think what perspectives are supposed to be feminine. I like to talk. I think feminine is a feminine. Talking is a feminine thing as well, in large part. Not saying that men don't talk, not saying that only women can, but I feel like there's a polarity when it comes to talking as well, where certain masculine individuals, myself included sometimes, can try to communicate a point, right? Where instead of seeing communication as an exploration of perspective, we can see communication as a communication of perspective. You use communication twice. Yes, I know, right? In other words, a man might try to give you a perspective like, I like sandals because when I put them on my feet, I don't step in thorns, right? Now the masculine perspective has been communicated. Done. Right? I don't need you to say anything extra for that to make more sense. But the feminine perspective can be, oh, I like sandals because they accentuate my feet. I like my sandals this color. That would be particularly nice. I like to wear different pairs of sandals. What type of sandals do you like wearing? Have you found a certain brand of sandal that particularly sits well with you, that makes your feet feel super supported? What is your personal take on sandals? Do you mind it if other people wear sandals? You see the point I'm trying to make? Like the feminine in my mind likes the dance to continue, right? The topic of sandals, the perspective of sandals can be accentuated, fractaled out, where the masculine wants to bring that large perspective into a resolute point that can be communicated. And I do consider myself more feminine in that capacity, where I also like to talk about perspective instead of trying to just give you the perspective, believing that somehow from a masculine domination type of mindset, that if I can communicate my perspective to you, maybe you would change. Where I've realized that that rarely is the case. Rather, communicate about the perspective, give the perspective, and then let the person apply that perspective to their own lives. You take a less of the assumption away, right? Because if you communicate your perspective with the assumption that this person is going to listen to you, then more than often you're going to suffer. You're like, oh, why is this person not listening to me? Oh, need to get ready. Love's true. Last year, in my reading, my spirit guide told my friend I would find hawk feathers when out hiking. I looked, and I never found one. It was strange. I found so many, and so unexpectedly. Was it strange, or was it synchronous? Right? Strange events are only strange to those who don't know the rules of the universe, to those who don't see the synchrony in everything. This morning, at 9 past, I'm having a tooth pulled. I don't wanna, oh goodness. Having a tooth pulled, I don't think anybody ever wants that to happen. That's like not a vibe. Good luck to you, Shell. I hope it's not too painful. I hope they, give you something for it. Good luck. Let us know how it went. I'll post them in the Discord. My spirit guide said I was supposed to make a duster out of them for cleansings. I guess that could be a cool thing to do. I never actually thought of them as useful tools, but that could be a pretty cool thing. You can like brush someone's face a little bit with them or something. It's funny. I've always been super hyper masculine. I do find myself intensely feminine as well until I get frustrated and then I try to man my way through everything. It's a balance. It's a balance. I believe all beings have masculine and feminine energies in them. My perspective on life is that the one that's observing awareness is masculine, and then the observed is feminine. So, by extension, my body, even though I have a masculine body, I see my masculine body as feminine, right? Because the one that sees in my mind is the masculine. So from that perspective, all I need to do is love life, right? Love life like I would love a lover, like I would love the person that I want to, invite into my life and spend the rest of it with. Because in a weird way, I have invited this version of self into my life, and now I'm going to live with her for the rest of my life. So it is a love relationship. And then from that perspective, I believe that's where we gain balance. Because the masculine perspective likes structure, likes stability, likes control, where the feminine likes flow, likes energy, likes change, right? And then trying to just balance those two. Like it's okay for you to be a masculine individual. It's okay for you to be a feminine individual, but realize that you're not exclusively one or the other. None of us are. And that's not me trying to convince you of your own polarity. It's more me trying to give you perspective, right? Give you perspective on what it means to be a complete human being. You're no less a man by taking a bubble bath, for example, right? You, as a man, having the perspective of a bubble bath doesn't take away any of the masculinity that is the observer in that moment. We find ourselves in weird times, that we've gone so far as to try and feminize colors. Like a man wearing pink is wrong for some reason. Stay in love. Yes, that is the goal of them. How do we slow and smother the love? Stay in love. That is the goal of them. How do we slow and smother the love? I'm not exactly sure what you're saying, Luke, but I feel that it is loving. Melty, you're one of the few men I've seen who embody beauty and grace so much of his masculinity. It's gorgeous. Thank you, Maxine. That's a great compliment. It's it's an interesting thing. I feel I've definitely been influenced by my mom in that way. She kind of introduced me to a level of femininity, right? Like my mom used to pluck my eyebrows and she would cut my hair herself and buy me hair masks, and she'd wanna take care of my skin, and it became a part of me, right? Like it was normal for me to have a mom that cares about hygiene and cares about taking care of the body and trying to make pretty, if you will. My mom has for a long time been obsessed with the pretty. She does pride herself in the fact that she has beautiful children. And beauty in my mind is a feminine quality, right? Men can have beauty, but the beauty I see in men, I see as a feminine quality. There's no polarity with the beauty in men for me, but I can still see them as beautiful. And I feel even admitting as such for the longest time has been seen as the wrong perspective, right? People so worried that their perspective is wrong if you have something different. Sending you courage and peace, Shell. Thank you. That's exactly how I start random conversations. Those are the best kinds, Natalie. I dislike the pinching and clenching of the toes in the flip flops. You see there, Luke. I also did until I stopped doing that. Like I was also pinching and clenching onto my sandals for a long time. And it was like exhausting my toes. And then at some point I let go and the sandals still stay on my feet. So maybe there's a lesson there somewhere. Melty, that was probably the best explanation of masculine versus feminine that I've ever heard. Excellent description, man. Joe Schmo, I am but a voice to the universe, as you are And if you didn't have all of the wisdom, all of the perspective that you've, gathered up to this moment, my words would have been just noise. So, right back at you. You're the one that knows. Shan, I lied in bed visualizing pepper grind took rocking me in a wooden toddler bed until I get up. That sounds so specific. I think he is my favorite hobbit. Peregrine took, I'm guessing. I love bubble baths. They're awesome. I usually too big for the tub though. Me too, Joe. Me too. Like only parts of my body can be submerged in water at one point. So I don't bathe a lot. Showers seem to be, again, from the masculine perspective, more functional, right? Where the feminine energy can be, I'm taking a bath. So this experience of being in the bath is one I want to let continue, right? I want this flow to be continually happening. This warm feeling on my skin, the softness, adds more warm water so you can continue bathing longer, right? That's feminine in my mind. Where the shower is like utilitarian, like, I'm gonna utilize this tool that is the shower to clean my body. And then I have like a pattern where I get underneath the shower, and I add soap to my scrunchie. Then I go through a pattern of washing, and then I rinse myself, and then I'm done, right? Na 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 na. Where a bath can be more na 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 nee 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 no 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 na 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 na. Exactly. It is nice. I should date more actually. Don't let them break you. We will win. Oh, they can't. They literally cannot. Like I feel I have shown myself over and over again at this point that I am, in fact, unbreakable. Right? This is the ash I'm talking about. This is like just falling from the skies. It's not a them thing. It's like I'm painfully aware that there are critters running for their lives right now, because wherever this ash is coming from means that there's fire. Right. No matter what the circumstances, no matter what situation, take responsibility for being loving presence. Easier said than done. It is infuriating that they've gotten taller over the years, but bathtubs keep getting smaller and shorter. Yes. Why is that? Like, I think it's probably a water volume thing, right? Like, having a bathtub big enough to completely submerge ourselves in is basically a swimming pool. And, running a swimming pool every single time you want to take a bath might be a little bit excess, right? Right to the tubs. I can't spend quality time with the bubbles. I need the smaller tub. Get your message and hope. We'll chat later in the week. Please do reach out. I'm not super tall or anything, but tubs are so tiny compared to an adult human. It is frustrating. And then as little baby human beings, like I remember at one point, me, my two younger brothers, taking a bath in a single bathtub full of water, and all of us, our little bodies, being able to fit in that one bath. Having grown up, I need more resources, need to consume more food, I occupy more space. Bathhouses need to be a thing again, but with privacy. I think the point of a bathhouse is the fact that there's no privacy, right? It's like a communal thing. You go there to not be private. Otherwise, you would just bathe at your own home. Gonna build one in my backyard. I was trying to figure out what my next project was going to be. Gonna do a little bathhouse. How about that, Joe Schmo? You can make it like a sauna as well. Bathhouse / sauna. Apparently, it's good to kind of put yourself in that discomfort as well for a little bit. Sam, one of my favorite things in Japan was going to the public bathhouses where they have big hot tubs filled with different minerals. That does sound nice, actually. I saw a documentary of bathhouses. The Japanese mineral baths are so interesting. Don't forget the sauna, Joe. Yes, Sam is on it as well. One of my earliest memories was the day my grandma went to bathe me in the sink, and she said I was too big. Being a small little human being. It's kind of surreal to me to this day. I don't know if I believe that I was a child. Like the whole joke of last Thursdayism, right? That everything, including our memories, including all of the perspective we've gained, was created last Thursday. So we're still brand spanking new to this universe, trying to figure it out, trying to remember things. And that's not, I'm not being serious about that. It's just like a thought experiment, a perspective. Again, it's a perspective on perspective that wouldn't make a difference. This experience, this perspective you have right now, if this perspective was informed by the fact that all of it was created last Thursday, and you're still having this experience, this perspective, the way that you do, does it make this perspective any less valuable? It brings up questions like why? Why did I have to have all of that perspective to be myself right now? And I don't necessarily know if I can give you the why, but I can give you a because, right? Because you wouldn't be who you are right now if not for that why. It would be like playing a game character, right? If you want to play Mario, you're going to have to look like Mario, Yahoo! Jump like Mario, run like Mario, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be Mario. And it's the same thing for every single one of us. You know, we're not exactly, depending on what you believe, customizable characters or pickable characters from a little list. Imagine, maybe it is. Maybe as soul, you know, when we decide to reincarnate, we just have this whole list of people we can be, and we pick one of them. And in that perspective, all of us have chosen to be ourselves. And if you're like, nah, Melt, that's exactly not how it worked. We definitely didn't get to pick who we are right now. Then I would like to offer the perspective of, okay, even though we might have had the opportunity to pick who we'll be right now, we are choosing to be ourselves right now, right? Clearly, the continuity, the moment-to-momentness of us being here has some significance, right? Because if we didn't want to be, why not just not be here? Like, I think of it from a perspective of dying, right? Not necessarily self-harm, but very much this perspective of the body fighting. How if you get close to dying of hunger or thirst, for example, your body and your priorities will shift to try and keep you alive, no matter what. And is that an instinctual thing? Is it instinct for you to want to continue being yourself? Or is it a choice? Maybe that is a good perspective to consider for ourselves, is how much of our survival right now, how much of us getting from there is instinct versus showing, trying to be loving. Took that breath, trying to be extra loving with it. Did change it. Did change it. Because it is instinct for me to continue breathing. But we can mindfully, lovingly do that as well. As I keep seeing pieces of ash fall. Okay, you need some comments. Sauna will take a lot more effort as far as construction goes, but I think that would be amazing. I think they get them pretty simple these days, right? Like all you need really is an enclosure, and then they sell like these little standalone units that like heat rocks. Maybe it's like the power of it could be the biggest issue. Like it's going to be power intensive. I want a sauna very much. Been contemplating how to have one at home. I want a float tank and sauna as well. And it's probably just going to be resources, shell. There's like money. You get money and space, because you're going to have somewhere to put the sauna if you're going to get one. And then we can ask ourselves, why? Why would I want the sauna? Why would I want the float tank? And again, perspective. Being able to put yourself in an environment where you can potentially be uncomfortable or experiencing novelty, the hot sweatiness of a sauna space or the extreme void of a float tank. Float tank is salt water that you float yourself in your ears. Like if you just do this and you speak words, you'll feel like a lot of the sound you actually hear gets cut out. So your ears go completely submerged underneath this salt water, comes up to here. Then you put yourself in a box that's completely blacked out. Most of the sound gets cut out. You also put like earplugs in your ears on top of that. And the water temperature is kept at body temperature. And then you dissociate. You lay there floating in body temperature water. A small layer of water close to your skin starts to like reach equilibrium. And then you cannot distinguish where you start or where you end and the water starts, vice versa, right? You're like, oh, I am in a medium. I am here and present. And then you float there in complete darkness, in complete silence. And you gain perspective on how valuable this world is. How much of a world there is without this world, and then coming back to this world with that perspective in mind. The stream topic is really taking me on some trips. Allow yourself to gain more perspective. It doesn't have to be a float tank. It doesn't have to be a sauna. It doesn't have to be anything in particular. You can gain perspective just by going for a walk. You can gain perspective by finding a corner in your house that you don't occupy usually, and then going and sitting in that corner and then looking at your space from that perspective. It's going to be more perspective. You can go and lay down on the ground in a corner you usually don't occupy. You can turn yourself upside down in that corner you usually don't occupy. And you will gain perspective on this world that you haven't had before. And it might not be significant, right? Not in the same way we apply significance in our lives these days, but it will be valuable, worthy, because it's going to be yours. It's going to be your perspective, right? And that is what we're here for. We're not here for perspectives. We're here for our perspective, because there is no perspective without yours. At least not the way that you have articulated it to yourself. There is the perspectiver, the one that perspectives is, and then there is your perspective, the change, right? And unfortunately, we are very much identified, attached to these lives, to ourselves, to our egos, to the versions of self that we have convinced ourselves that we are, to our own perspectives. It's a little bit of a joke sometimes. And also what we're here for. You are making up a whole right now. Without you, there would be a U-sized hole in the universe. Right? Think about that. Wherever you go, you occupy that space. I don't know why, but that does trip me out. It's a compliment I like to give to people when they apologize for being in my way, or when they apologize for having to step over me. I usually just thank them for occupying space. That instead of them having to apologize for them occupying space, for taking up room and then potentially inconveniencing me with the room they take up, I celebrate the room they take up. Grateful for it. I'm tripping out. Like my brain is getting a little bit melted right now, just imagining how much space is occupied by human beings right now, and how it's a different world. It's a space outside of this space, and all of us are contributing to that collective space. And it's more vast than this world, technically, right? Every single one of your perspectives. Because if you close your eyes, you can continue exploring infinitely in that realm of perspective as well. And then all of us have that, and all of us contribute to it. I'm trying to visualize how vast it is. Like, the question is in my mind is, do you occupy more space conceptually, metaphysically, than you do physically, right? As in, if you had to calculate the volume of space that you occupy on this earth, and you had to conceptually calculate the volume of your mental realm, how much of a discrepancy would there be? I imagine an inconceivable one, as in the volume of inner space that is mental, that is spiritual, excessively exceeds the amount of volume you occupy as a physical being. Sounds like a soul walking, ja ja ja. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like I have to draw it up and figure it out, but I possess all the skills and knowledge to do it. So it's just a matter of good planning and a little bit of effort. That's true. Jode is a kit. That's less expensive than materials from HD. I don't know what HD is. Probably like a hardware store, hardware department. Do you have any friends who dabble in interior design, Joe? May ask for style pointers. Thank you guys for planting the seeds in my life. I like having something to look forward to doing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Joe. Thank you for allowing your perspective to be changed by our perspectives. Reminds me of the song I recorded with the line, but if we're in a simulation, would that change anything, right, Lozana? Does it change anything? If I was in a simulation right now, right, I wouldn't care, because even in this simulation, I am still capable of loving my pets. I'm capable of loving the act of eating a delicious meal. I'm capable of loving a song, right, as I listen to it. I'm capable of loving the feeling of warm or cold water falling on my skin as I take a shower. I'm capable of loving a tree as I stare out to it, right? Sunlight, kind of red, coloring the leaves differently depending on where it lands. So even if it's a simulation, I don't really care too much because I'm here for it, right? That's again the perspective. The perspective is what's valuable, not the simulation. Because the simulation might as well be a simulation. You could be a being with a pair of goggles strapped to your face right now, deep diving into your life, experiencing it right now. And the point is, as that version, right, as that even more technologically advanced super being version of yourself, you decided that this perspective is more valuable than the one you were having. Why? What are you here to learn? What is so valuable about your life that you keep coming back to it day after day after day? The continuity of getting to go to sleep and wake up as ourselves every day breaks my brain, because I haven't been myself for a single day, right? My perspective has changed radically, continues to every single day. And yet, the one that observes remains unchanged. It's kind of surreal. It is kind of surreal. I don't know if we're supposed to understand as much as we're supposed to on yesterday's topic. Just accept my girlfriend will definitely be the designer, of course. Joe, I love a good project. Fly me out and I'll have the best houses. That's so cool. I just build stuff. Yeah, Duck Dad. Favorite shirt is grow food, build stuff, repeat. Yes. I very much do not like enclosed spaces. Float tank would be scary for me. I think that's the point in a weird way, Duck Dad. But the thing is also you kind of dissociate that it's a closed space because it's dark, right? In a weird way, that closed space is the least closed space you've ever been in that moment in your life. Does it make sense? No? So imagine you go into this space. You float, your eyes are closed, there's no sound coming in. can't really smell anything other than salt water, so you get used to that as well. And then at first, you realize you're a body in a vat of water, salt water, in a box. And then the understanding of your body being in a medium kind of disappears with the water reaching equilibrium. Then the sound not being there and your association thereof, like your identification, like you hear a car and you're like, oh, car. Or you hear a bird and you're like, oh, bird. Or you hear people murmuring in the background, you're like, oh, people. All of that disappears. And then complete darkness. So there's nothing to look at. And then change your perspective depending on what you see. And then that disappears. Your need to understand, to label perspectives. And then you find yourself as consciousness, as unchanging awareness in the middle of nothing. Nothing. In every direction. So it's like, in my experience, it was anti-claustrophobic. It was like, oh shit, there's nothing, there's infinite room in every direction. I could keep traveling in every single direction and find nothing, right? That's how much room I have. And I mean every direction, right? Like in every vector that you can move in. You can just keep going infinitely and you won't find anything. And that is a lot to deal with. It's a lot to deal with in and of itself. It's a perspective that you are not allowed to have, right, as a human being, because all of your experiences are ceaselessly being informed by input, right? The perspective of my body pushing down on a cushion right now, that cushion pushing back on my body with the same amount of force, and then there being this like low hum input, right? Ceaselessly, my ass and legs are inputting the feeling of sitting on something to my brain. Yes, sitting on something, sitting on something, sitting on something, sitting on something. But I kind of like cut that stimulus out so I can have a conversation with a few friends. Yes, smell smoke, be able to breathe. Stimulus, 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 stimulus. Bird sounds into my ears. Stimulus, stimulus, stimulus. Seeing all of these things. Stimulus, stimulus, stimulus. And then when you take all of those stimuli away, the only perspective that remains is yours. Your actual perspective. And it is valuable because you keep coming back for it over and over again. Millions of billions of years. And here you still are. Present. Present. So present. Present beyond a shadow of doubt, right? You occupy actual physical space. You exist. You actually exist. I had that as a trip with Christian as well. Christian can get himself into spaces of guilt for having a good time sometimes. And it's because he's a hard worker and he wants to create cool things in the world. So having a good time can feel like he's not doing that. And I could just share with him the stream topic that we echoed as well of there's nothing that is going to prove his existence more than his actual existence, right? There's nothing for him to prove. There's nothing he can do that is going to convince me of his existence more than his actual existence is convincing me of his existence, right? Your perspective is exactly that. Already is. And it is growing. Try and expose yourself to the good of it. And I'm saying try because it's not always gonna be that way. Sometimes things will change. Good project. Current systems. Make no bills once it's built other than water usage. There we go. Just make sure to build a hurricane door so the hurricane can nicely pass through without destroying it. Good idea. Joe, I have dabbled a bit in residential solar. All depends on what you're trying to power. I mean, if you're going to do like warm water, right? Like the sun does like warming water, especially if it's in tubes. Yeah, definitely. Luckily, I can attach it to my existing foundation and walls. I'm feeling really good about this one. I'm seeing the fractals starting to form in your head. Dark solar power can be directly transferred to the heating of the water without having to convert it to electricity. I'm sorry. I was exactly saying the exact same thing. Black irrigation pipe. And it could be on the roof. Yes, yes. Yeah, exactly. The abundance of very hot water. I'm very excited for you. I want to see all kinds of updates, Jaju. I feel like I've heard of people heating water only using lava rocks and sunlight. Lava rocks. That you can do that. You can do that. What he's talking about, like you can take like black pipe and run like lengths of it on your roof, and then have the other side of it go back into your bath, for example, and that water will literally get to scorching temperature. She'll have something that moves it still, like a little water pump, but nothing stopping us. Get, as he said, you don't even have to convert to electricity. It's like a little bit low tech, but also for the same reason, low fault, right? Like there's no moving parts. Things don't break as easily when it's that simple. Too many step for easy hot water. Try to use what I can without adding too many systems. Bro, I'm tripping out how we're both on the same fractal right now. Isn't solar distillation a thing? You could produce water with sunlight too. This is true. You can do that actually. Extract water from the air. Sergio pumps take up so much amperage. That is why I will make your solar project jump exponentially. Make sure you size the pump based on the motor class. You would be shocked how much inrush power a pump needs. It is true. It is true. Yeah. Hopefully, he can have like a small little, like a single solar panel, for example, connected to the motor, if that needs to be the way that it is done. Very efficient. I'm gonna start my day, friends. Love you, Maxine. I want all of you to know how special you and the space is to me. I love all of you very much, and I wish you all the love and prosperity that your heart desires. Thank you. Thank you, Maxine. We'll see you again soon, dear friend. You'll be okay. We'll wait for you right here. We'll celebrate you when you return to us. A simple mineral filter works really well. Humans have done a pretty good job in the water filtration field of science. The ones that you buy are far better than the ones that you can make at home. It's true. It's like it's a economy of scales thing, right? Like we've made so many of them, and we get better and better the more we make. The ancient Egyptians rigged up gravity filters with aluminium sulfate to purify the water from the Nile for drinking. How about that? Technology. The fact that like, if we're going to get into the pyramids, I'm going to lose my mind. There's a theory that the pyramids of Giza were actually a water treatment facility. There's a theory of that. There's a theory as well that the pyramids of Giza were force fields. I don't know if your friends have heard that one. There's like theories that the pyramids were force fields, and they were basically built by ancient civilizations as defense against the Adams event. When the polarity of the earth shifted and there was kilometer waves of water rushing over the earth, destroying all of the civilizations we've built up until that moment, and then forcing us to start over. And that's why we had like an explosion of art culture and technology as we have it right now. But that's more theories. Among other uses, I don't think I've ever heard that, Joe. That's so weird. There's so many of them. They were so much more advanced than we give them credit for. There's even theories that say the Egyptians weren't the ones that built the pyramids. I feel like that's the weirdest one for me. So much more advanced. Looking your way, Squara. I could drag you through some theories, my friend. Drag? I'll bring popcorn. All of them are speculation. Like I really want a time traveler device. Maybe just like a little thingy I can look through. I don't even have to go there. I just want to be able to peer through time and space, see the past, see what they were up to, see how they built them. I just want to be like, ah, oh, okay, all right. That's all I want to do. I don't want to be able to talk to them. I just want to see. I just want to be able to look with my little eyeballs. The theory I love is that the pyramids are landing pads for spaceships. I like that one as well. I think it's kind of silly because if aliens needed landing pads to land on planets, then we as human beings have better tech than them right now. Right? And that's kind of embarrassing. But I do like the romanticized version of that. I like the art of flying pyramids being octahedrons. I like that one as well. Eva's really hungry for attention today. I want a pair of time traveling glasses too. Yeah. Right? That sounds more tame. Sounds more tame than moving our physical bodies through space and time. Just getting the view sounds like a whole vibe. I don't have to go there exactly, Joe, right? This exact card. Ooh, I like the theory that the pyramids emitted frequencies to bathe people in. So that theory of the frequencies to bathe people in, apparently that frequency that it bathed people in meant that they were inside of the force field, right? Because that frequency can be seen as a force being produced as a field around that space, right? And if you were in that field, in that space, maybe you were some of the few lucky humans who survived the Adams event. I think this is the card I pulled. I didn't move it over, right? What card is this? The ultimate bathhouse. Everywhere is the bathhouse. I mean, apparently, when the pyramids were at their peak, that whole space was a jungle. Like there were trees surrounding the pyramids. These massive white pyramids. They had like marble, apparently, white marble plastered all over them with these golden tops. Golden, and there's some theories now that say they might have been crystal tops. But that would create a little bit more weirdness, that we can't get into. Orange? You believe orange, Joe Schmo? Technically, no. Not an orange card. But I feel an apt one. We pulled the Heart Taurus. Of course. Of course, we had to touch on the Taurus fields. I've been seeing Sky, my drum, as the center of a Taurus field, right? Like that would be the top of the drum. So if this thing was like folded like this into a three-dimensional shape, it would go center bit, folding all the way out, going back into itself. This would be hollow, and then this would go back to itself, like a donut, basically, like a donut shape. And I see the drum as like the center of that donut shape, creating a field as I make music with it. I was holding a fluorescent bulb and touching a plasma ball light, and the bulb lights up. Speaking of fields, yeah. How crazy is that? That electricity can be transferred right into the air. That was like Tesla's whole thing. He wanted to make electricity free to everybody. And then all of the powers that be was like, oh, hell nah, dude. If power, if literal power, if energy was free to everybody, then we cannot extract wealth from them. So we can continue working with that. That is the shape of all of us. Yes, that is the shape our heart outputs, creating this field. Tesla was married to a bird. He wasn't all there. Sam, I'm married to the earth right now, right? Like that's how I see it, at least. I'm married to life. I'm married to the feminine. But the feminine is everything, including the birds, He probably was just on a level. We are all intersecting infinite start bursts. We are all intersecting infinite starbursts. I like that. So apparently, all of us do generate these torus fields around our hearts, right? And then as these torus fields get generated, you can kind of like expand the range so that your torus field can technically encapsulate the entire Earth, but most of your energy, like all magnets, will be generated closest to the source. So if two people come closer to one another, those torus fields have like Vesica Pisces that they form between you and me. So that Vesica Pisces that is formed becomes the experience that we get to share with one another. Theories, but interesting ones at least. I think my burp thinks think we're married. I think so as well, probably. right? Like it is a partnership. It is a relationship you have with one another, and there is a deep love and respect for one another. So you get salty if you leave him alone, right? Like a lover would, like a person who you know wants to spend time with you. If you just leave them alone without being able to communicate to them where you are, they'll probably be a little bit salty about that. Starburst, yeah. I love that pigeon as a man loves a woman, and she loved me. There's like another woman who also fell in love with a pigeon. The man was a genius. What kind of brilliance comes at a steep price? Oh, yes. I built a harmonograph, destroyed all confidence in the art made by my hand. I built a harmonograph, destroyed all confidence in the art made by my hand. I don't know what that means, Luke. Like, did you build something and then this something, using it, destroys your confidence in your art that you make with your hands? That's the only way I can interpret your message right now. Intelligence of the heart as the core meaning of the Heart Taurus card. The Taurus is a piece of sacred geometry that, when viewed as three-dimensional, looks rather like a donut. The human heart has 7 muscles that form a torus, and it is shaped in the and is the shape of the Earth's magnetic field. So, by the way, the Earth also creates a torus field, like magnetism. Anything that has a magnetic charge, it itself is the center of the torus, and then the magnetic field that is created is the three-dimensionality of the torus field. And your heart does the same thing. The earth at large does the same thing. This toroidal energy connects you with the intelligence of your heart and asks you to become conscious of the effects emotions have on your ability to experience life wholly. Emotions open your heart and can lead to a deeper connection with self and others, allowing you to feel more at peace and in balance. Emotions can also baffle your intellect and stir up confusion. Integrating head and heart, mind and emotions is the expression of function of the intelligence of your heart. Meditate with this heart torus. Sit within its dynamic movement and really feel its vitality as you knowingly connect with your heart. Consciously experience the emotions that arise. Bless what you are feeling and ask how this may inform what is occurring in your life today. Allow yourself to feel gratitude for your very human ability to experience emotions. Honor the intelligence of your heart. Is that a gateway process? I see. Jules, so good to hear your voice, Estienne. It's good to hear yours as well. Now that I know what your voice sounds like at least, so I can imagine it for myself. 88%. I have 67 here, 14.4 there, 64 there. Got some fours at least. 14, 64s. Sending you 11s. Thank you. Dear friends, for joining me today. Let me see if I'm missing anything. It draws so good. Oh, the harmonograph is a machine that's supposed to draw things. It's okay not to be perfect, is the only thing that I can say to that, Luke. Thank you for joining us, Gateway. It's nice having you. Envision a 2-dimensional starburst. No, make it 3-dimensional with the points reaching in all directions. Of course, tie those points to the opposite ends of them and then let them roll through each other. A cycle of renewable energy that is self-sustaining. That is us. Energy generators, right? We do have to eat food and we need to drink water, but I can eat food and drink water and then go out of my way to make you feel like shit, right? Be like, your toes look weird or whatever, right? Or I can use the exact same food, the exact same water to uplift you and create, hopeful energy. Oh, your toes look amazing today. or whatever. Why did I have to go for toes? What the fuck's wrong with me? You see the point I'm trying to make, the perspective I'm trying to share, right? That we do generate energy, and all of us get to choose the different energies that we generate. And it's not dependent on the food that we eat, it's not dependent on the quality of air, the people around us. Today's stream topic feels so apt. Maybe I'll read it one more time, just to make sure I get it right. I have to read these things a million times. Assume responsibility for learning how in all situations to be only the presence of love. Hot damn. The body is a different system. Oh, yes. Luke, you built the thing right. Let me ask, do you credit the pencil, your pencil for the drawing, your hand directed? I'm talking about the self. I think that's a good question to ask, Sam. It's this joke of everything, right? Like, where do you draw the line? Where do you start and the rest of reality end? Right? Can you point to it? I mean, like, yeah, here. Here is where I start. Here is where my perspective starts. And here is where my perspective ends. And if you start drawing those lines, I can promise you that with enough time, we can keep blurring those lines, melting them, if you will, into infinity. We are rolling starbursts that bounce around and filter feed through the universe, eating itself, feeding itself, as itself, for itself. Place yourself in healthy environments if you want a healthier self. Yes, because all of it becomes a part of you. Every part of you consumes your ears, your eyes, your skin, your mind. You eat with your mind as well, right? Feed yourself well. Let yourself gain good perspective. Realize that that shouldn't be the point, right? The actual perspective should be the point, but allow yourself to gain good perspectives nonetheless. Thank you. All right. So more nachos, less nachos. Which directions are we going in? I mean, I haven't had nachos in a while, so my mind instantly goes more nachos. But if you've had nachos, maybe less nachos would be the way to go for it. Feed yourself like you nourish your body. Exactly. Right? Mindfully. Like the whole reading of the labels. I don't do that, but reading of the labels when it comes to the things that you perceive as well. Right? Think about it. If you watch a show, a movie, what do you think the labels for that movie would be? What are the ingredients to that movie? What are they trying to feed you? Mm? And then decide whether or not you want to eat more nachos. Always more nachos. Have a beautiful day. Love you all so super mucho grande dearly. Not all of you wonderful friends. Love you. Thank you, Shan. I take a little credit and I love the info that the pendulum graph shares. Keep creating, Luke. Even if it's not the perspective you think you're supposed to be having, keep creating. And I'll see you, friends, again soon. Love you. Thank you for joining me, friends. Until tomorrow.